Our second show back for 2026 here on the box seat, brought to you by Brecon Farms. Let's get right into it. Here's what's coming up. Tonight on the box seat, we break down Debbie Lincoln's big win with Kimberly Butt, analysing the performance that lit up Friday Night Lights. Then it's a statement result that turned heads as Poutama joins us to unpack a massive win. We go live for a special moment on the show with Zachary Butcher calling in with some exciting news. It's frank views and real talk on the Record with Michael Guerin. Rapid fire opinions and quick hitch. And we wrap it all up with the full betting picture in your Friday Night Lights market preview. This is the box seat. So much happening group racing at the Addington Raceway, the first group race of the year, the Garage Premier Mares Championship on Friday night. Alex Park with a great meeting there as well, and some good racing over the weekend too. We'll say hi to the team very shortly. Before that, let's have a look at last week's highlights.
Buy Now, Pay Later is trotting along great guns and will take them all the way. And the first ever square gating winner at Topo goes to Buy Now, Pay Later.
Beside me, 150 to go, 2 lengths, now 3 lengths in front, Moonlight Club, then Bazooka and Commander Ben, but it's Beside Me, 50 to go, eased down Beside Me by 3 lengths. Debbie Lincoln with a kick, 1.5 lengths, Nothing But You and Candy Cane, who are not reaching her for now. 100 to go, it's Debbie Lincoln in front from Nothing But You and Candy Cane. Debbie Lincoln goes all the way.
Coalfire, South End on C, didn't use the passing lane, but tries to close on the outside, but Coalfire leads all the way to beat South End. Yeah. Madison Cole gets her first career win. Great performance by Dame West as one from Shore to Rise. Wagstar and the Big Lebowski, a thrilling go. The Big Lebowski kicking on the outside. Dead heat, don't know. Ken Brad Williamson beat his father fell. Domination's called. Practical Magic's got good kick, however. Practical Magic will get the prize.
Father Mike went to the front from Sod's Law. Vertigo now the only danger. It's going to be a Lawrence McCormick Quinella. Which way's it going to go? Or it could go either way, actually. That's very tight.
It's American Me, this Game Boy, the 9-year-old son of American Ideal, back mark and all, and he'll take the inaugural running at the Dunstan Horsefeed Lake Telfo Summer Cup and do it in great fashion. Paramount Kiwis lunging hard, Johnny Hu and Paramount Kiwi for the Trotters Cup, they hit it. Oh, close enough to a dead heat. Very, very tight between Johnny Hu, Paramount Kiwi.
But this is Leap to Fame. He's the #1 seed still in Australasia, maybe the world. What a star. What a star. Welcome to Ballarat. Leap to Fame wins the cup by 12. Kiang Zahara's in another class. She's out by 10 metres. Rockin' with Attitude and RC Phoenix in a great battle for the minors, but Kiang Zahara does it again. She wins by 12.
Cam Hart hits the blast-off button on Recaro Rocket, one of the most exciting paces at Menangle at the moment, and Recaro Rocket has destroyed them.
He's flying, isn't he, Recaro Rocket, around Menangle. Some great performances from both sides of the Tasman, one of those from Debbie Lincoln, and we will hear from her driver, Kimberly Butt, very shortly here on the box seat. First things first, though, let's say good day to the team. Brittany Graham, second show back. Bit for us to improve on, I guess, from last week, but boy, oh boy, what about the racing we've had?
It was awesome, wasn't it, on a Friday night, Matt? Great to be back under the Friday Night Lights banner, and we'll do the same this week with 12 races out of Addington, including feature racing, and we've also got some very competitive racing out of Alexandra Park, including the Metro Finals, the first for the year. But I guess guess off the track, my highlight in the last 7 days came with the news that Anthony Butt is returning back to New Zealand soils after over a decade basing himself in Australia. He's coming back to join the powerhouse Stonewall operation, and it's wonderful to see Ant back and as a part of our industry. Obviously, an incredible career on both sides of the Tasman, but we so often see our very best, and in Ant's case, head across to Australia. It's wonderful to have it coming back the other way, so to speak. He'll be very much a welcome addition to the driving ranks, and it's just great to see him back and in action, and I'm sure it won't just be for Stonewall who'll be utilised.
Matt Markham, we could have had a little wee quiz session there and trying to relay a few of those old horses in behind Lyle Creek. Great to have you part of the show with Greg away, and I know that you've got a highlight this week close to home.
Yeah, certainly do, Matt. Nice to be joining you and Britt. Yeah, seeing we play on sneaking through a gap there in a Dominion handicap certainly brings back a lot of memories, some wonderful horses. Looking forward to the next 60 minutes. Looking forward in particular to this Addington card on Friday night as well. Highlight of the week for me comes out of the transfer meeting to Ashburton on Sunday, the training Quinella for a good friend of mine and Lawrence McCormick. A notable achievement in the fact that Lawrence only has 2 racehorses in his stable. They both ended up in the same race. Vertigo on the quick backup from Addington on Friday night, where she ran second to Royden Muscle. She started off a 30-metre handicap here. She's got a couple of quite remarkable stats about her, and I know you touched on them last week, Matt. That Meffin meeting, she has won at in 4 of the last 5 years. She missed last year because she was too highly rated to be there. So she loves this time of year, and we talked about her coming back off Central Otago circuit, where she has 3 starts most times. She's won 12 races and $150,000 now. She was a $3,000 purchase off Gavel House. So she's been wonderful for her connections. Notably, some of who actually share in Navigator, who's a pretty smart sprinter, of course, ran second in the Telegraph a couple of weeks ago.
It was great, as was this moment. Down to Riverton, Madison Kyle claimed her first driving win. We had a couple of grass track meetings there over the weekend, and great for her, along with her sister Natasha, that they are both now race-winning drivers. So it was definitely somewhat of a highlight. As mentioned, we've got Kimberly Butt on the show. Kim, off the back of a victory with Debbie Lincoln on Friday, how's things?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Matt. How are you?
Yep, we're going good. We've got Matt and Britt here to talk us through Debbie Lincoln's victory there on Friday. Was pretty comfortable in the end.
Yeah, she did actually do it really easy. She got away with it pretty cheaply in front and was able to, hit the line really strongly.
Kim, Matt here, congratulations on the win. You got the chance to have a sit behind her at Nelson back earlier on in the year. There looked to be notable difference in the horse that raced at Nelson to the horse that we saw at Addington on Friday night. Can you talk us through what she felt like once she found the front, because she looked pretty happy to be there?
Yeah, she did. I think just, after a wee bit of a trip down from Ray and Nate's up north, it just maybe took its toll a wee bit on her. Josh only had her for a couple of days before going into that race at Nelson, so I think she might have just felt the effects of a trip, a new place and things like that. But she got home and, had a couple of weeks from that Nelson run and was able to really, settle in, and she was a really happy horse on Friday.
Kim, we saw some footage of her in the warm-up and she looked to be on the job and as though she was ready to run a bold race. But even despite using her off the arm early, she appeared to the eye to come back to you beautifully. So for a just turned 4-year-old mare, she seems to have a little bit of ringcraft on her side.
Yeah, she does. She got out of the gate really well on Friday, probably better than she did at Nelson. But like you say, she was able to find the front and come back to me super. So she settled pretty good in front and cruised along nicely on the bit and really found a kick when I asked.
Looking forward to this Friday night, I'm sure. She looks a really good chance once more due to the preferential system. She's drawn very kindly. She's drawn inside of several of her key chances. I'm sure you're heading to the races on Friday night with some confidence once more.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's a bit of a step up. A few of those, just turned 4-year-olds as well, coming out of those strong 3-year-old races from last year, are stepping up into this Open Mares Company, and then you've got the likes of Francent, Esmeralda, and that are top quality mares. So it is a step up for her, but the way she felt on Friday, I think she's be able to handle it.
Kim, Debbie Lincoln wasn't the only mare that you were successful with over the course of the weekend. You teamed up with a mare that you're striking quite a strong affinity with in Two Rye Ruby in the last at Ashburton on Sunday for Simon Adlam. I know it was a bit of a chance that you actually ended up in the sulky behind her to start with, but 3 wins in the last couple of months, and that victory on Sunday might have been the best of them yet.
Yeah, definitely. It was a bit of a right place at the right time. Simon just needed a driver for Ashburton Trials one day, and John Morrison said, I'll grab Kim. And from there, she was racing a couple of weeks later, and his usual drivers also had a drive in the race. So he left me on race day, and we happened to win. So, yeah, I don't know what the difference is. She's just a really happy horse and enjoying her work. And even I was a little bit surprised that she sat part and won like she did on Sunday.
You're having a great run at the moment, Kim, off the back of your maiden Group 1 success only a few months ago with Freeze Frame. You're linking up with some really nice types and certainly having a consistent flow of winners. A couple of other drives on this Friday night, a Leicester and Eurostyle. You must be looking forward to having Eurostyle back at the races.
Yeah, definitely. I always, asked Derek and Adele where she is, when she's going to be back. I just love driving her. She, it's probably my first really good horse that I've been able to drive consistently, and she's taken us on an awesome ride, and it's definitely not over yet.
Kim, she had a trial at Ashburton last week. I know it was a relatively slow time overall, and you settled back in the field early, but you really let her run from the 1,000, and she looked to the eye like she was trotting really, really strongly and did nice work, cutting out some impressive sectionals. 56.5, I think her last half was, and she looked to do it really, really nicely.
Yeah, she did, Matt. She was sort of in with a couple of lesser horses, and they walked early. And with, this race coming up, I thought we need a pretty good run under her belt. So I let her slide just coming off the back. And, yeah, she did it really powerfully. I was really happy with her gait and the way she felt. And, I'm really looking forward to getting her to the races on Friday.
You also take the reins behind a Leicester, a horse you know well, for Warren and Dean Stapleton. Look, things probably didn't quite go to plan up there in Blenheim on a wet track, but if he was to recapture the form that he showed leading into Christmas, where he's running multiple placings here at Addington Raceway with a nice trip on the markers, he wouldn't be far away.
Yeah, he's a wee opportunist. He's got to be saved up for that one run, and won the second row's going to give him that chance. He didn't really handle the track the first day at Blenheim, and then he didn't get a run the second day. So, I wouldn't read too much into the form out of Blenheim on him, but yeah, he's a great wee horse, and he'll try his best for us.
It's obviously been a very busy time for you, Kim, not only on the track but off the track as well in your new role with Harness Racing New Zealand, and we'll touch on that shortly. But just, have you had an opportunity to reflect on 2025? It was a big year, of course, highlighted by that Group 1, but all in all, in the sulky, you seem to just have a great time of things.
Yeah, Brett, it definitely was a bit of a whirlwind year. Josh Devine buying us those yearlings early in the year, and then a career change, and a couple of good wins with Eurostyle, and then into the Sire Stakes final with Freeze Frame. It's just, definitely wasn't expected, but I was pretty happy with the way the season went.
Kim, obviously off the track and away at home, there's been a bit of work going on at Roseland Racing with a couple of high-profile yearling purchases from last year. I see Rangiora trials on Wednesday tomorrow. A couple of them are in, Salazar and, of course, Akula, the brother to Akuta. They've been out in public once already. Can you talk us through their progression and where we're likely to see them progress through from their trial tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, so Akula, like you say, the brother to Akuta, was bought at the yearling sales by Josh, and Salazar was actually one I purchased from the weanling sales. So we've been really happy with them. They're very early natural 2-year-olds, and like you say, they had the trial at the start of a workout at the start of the year, and it was just the two of them, but they did everything super. They were well behaved and took it all in their stride. So a couple of weeks on from that, they're going to trial in a qualifying trial tomorrow. We'll find out a bit more about them then, and then probably head to one more and then make a decision whether they're good enough to go to Auckland.
Exciting times indeed. You weren't only busy on Friday night in the winner's circle, but as mentioned, now with HRNZ for a good 6 months or so, you must be enjoying seeing a different side to the business. And it was the firsties night at Addington where there were a stack of first timers to the races. How did that all play out?
Yeah, it was a really good night. Thanks, Britt. I think we got upwards of 100 people down to the Twiggers there. It was meant to be outside, which was a shame that the weather, wasn't playing its part, so we had to move inside. But everyone we talked to and all the reviews we've got, they were all people that generally hadn't been to the races or didn't know about the races. So to get 100 new faces on course to see what we're doing is just awesome. And if 50-60% of those people come back and even become regulars or horse owners, then I think we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a super concept. Exciting to see how it continues to play out. And I guess one of the big news items of the week was that, Anthony Butt to most, but Dad to you is heading home. You must really be looking forward to seeing him back on New Zealand soil.
Yeah, definitely, Britt. That's, the best news ever, really. Very excited to get him home, not just for the racing, but, for us. And he's got 2 wee granddaughters now who are growing up, so they're pretty excited to have Granddad Ants home as well.
Kim, thanks for joining us here on the box seat. Good luck on Friday night.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Between Kim and Johnny, they've had a pretty decent run over the last 12 or so months, in particular Pinseeker obviously flying the flag. Yeah, and we see him go around at Addington on Friday night, and a little bit of news floating around about him too, that he's probably 95% locked in to be heading to Australia for a Miracle Mile bid. From what I can understand, talking to Johnny, he'll get through Friday night and they'll look to firm up their decision from there, but likely he would race around the 21st or the 20th of February and just a normal handicap graded race that night, and then into the Miracle Mile heats 2 weeks later. After that, who knows? We know he's such a good short course horse. It'll be interesting to see if he can get over there and off the back of some pretty fast times in front of him, storm home like we know he can. Great bit of news there around Pinseeker from the Johnny Cox stable. Moving on now to Andre Poutama, who joins us on the box seat. I think the first time we've had you on since we've kind of rebranded the show, Andre. So from us to you, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
Andre, Matt Markham here. Congratulations on another good week at the office. And we've got to start with this exciting 2-year-old in Coalfire who we saw unleashed at Alexandra Park on Friday night. The trials had been good. Race day was even better. What kind of impression did you get from him once you got him under race conditions?
Look, I was looking forward to driving him all week. It took a while to get there, but look, he's an exciting type. Just the way that he did it, he just did it with such ease. He's got the blinds and that on, and when he hears them coming, he just picks the bit up straight away, and he's just all business.
He's a really exciting type, Andre, and I guess the fact that he's now won this Young Guns heat so early on, it takes the pressure off, so to speak. But you clearly had a fair bit of confidence around him, not only in his ability, but also his sanity, so to speak, because you weren't afraid to use him up early, put him in front, and I guess make the rest really work for it. He did seem to drop the bit beautifully, but it's nearly as though he sensed them, and away he went over the concluding stages with the plug still in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. His trial at Puka, we just sort of give him a little run off the gate just to see how he handled it. And yeah, he just sort of wasn't too keen on going up behind the gate with the old high vis at the starter there, but once that snowball got away, he sort of come off at his own steam and got to the top. But yeah, he just relaxed straight away, and as soon as I flicked him up, he just went straight up on the bit and he was ready to go.
It's always exciting to have a juvenile this early in the season showing so much promise. And Nathan Purden, who trained both Coalfire and a few of the others there on Friday night, seems to have a very solid team of young stock around him. Talk to us about your role with Nathan, because you're clearly doing a fair bit of driving for him at the moment and you're becoming quite a formidable combination.
Yeah, it's still working out good at the moment. I just go in the morning and drive a bit of fast work, and normally done by about 11 o'clock, and then I go and work my own ones. I just got 4 young ones, so it all works in. It's working out great, so yeah, I'm pretty happy at this point in time.
Also picked up another win on Friday night with Johnny Lincoln there, Andre, for the Ray Green and Nate Delaney stable, another stable that you've formed a really strong association with. Now, to look at, for me, I haven't seen him in the flesh, but he looks a really nice progressive pacer who, with even more time on his side, is going to end up furnishing into quite a nice horse. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, he's still pretty green. He's my first drive on him was at Cambridge, and I got on him because they wanted to get him off the arm, so that suited me to the ground. And like, he only just got beat, and I knew he'd have to park the other night, but he actually did it pretty easily, to be fair. Yeah, he's still green, lots to learn, but he is getting better with every run.
So you had a great night on Friday night, Andre, and then that converted to yesterday as well at Taupo. Clearly, there's not as much grass track racing in the north, but it's been great in the last couple of weeks to see a little more of it. What do you make of grass track racing, and how was Taupo yesterday for its inaugural event?
Yeah, it was great, actually. We don't actually normally go that far down. When we get so far down, it's normally to the Mount Watsons, but something that's the old South on the grass. But it was great fun. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of people there, a lot of kids, and they all come out. It's just a pity we don't have more grass track racing, and it was probably a bit different. We didn't even have a parking lane there, so it was a long way up the straight if you couldn't get a run.
Well, he's hoping, off the back of success yesterday, we can see a little bit more grass track racing in the north, because it certainly has a place on our harness racing scene, so to speak. Here was a couple of your wins as we're seeing now. But just on your season last year in 2025, looking back a fraction, you had your second Group 1 success, and the first of which on your own terms. I'm sure you look back on that very fondly, but as a rule, you're being utilised by all the best stables in the north. You had your own team which performed really well, but I'm sure you couldn't have asked for a great deal more from last year.
Nah, it actually, halfway through, like, it just turned the corner, and it was just so real. Getting that Group 1 on so fast, that was the best. It's just not the same when you get a dead heat. I still remember the old dead heat. I swear I had my nose just in front, but look, we finally got it done, and I was happy about that. Finally ticked that one off the bucket list.
Thanks for joining us here on the show, Andre. Hopefully we can catch up with you soon.
Wonderful. Thanks very much.
From one North Islander to another, Zachary Butcher, as we promised, has some news to share with us here on the box seat. He's kindly joined us. Zachary, you're a bit of a regular here on the show. Tonight's probably not so much of a preview of your drives, it's more of a news session. What have you got for us?
Oh, team, we've got some great news. Ticking off one of my life goals, and got the wee invite to the World Drivers Challenge in Brisbane. So pretty exciting news. Very thankful for the opportunity, obviously, and ready to sink my toes into it.
Super exciting, Zach. And of course, you were there last year as, I guess, attending and watching along. What did you make of the first edition of the Drivers' Championship there at Albion Park, where we get to see them come from here, there and everywhere, the Ultimate Drivers' Championship? What did you make of it being on course, and did that light the fire a little bit to try and get involved this time around?
Yes, I must say I thoroughly enjoyed being over there and watching the brother-in-law go round, the big bomb. She was a very exciting time, and I guess the fire was probably lit before, the first drivers were even spoken about. Once the whole idea and concept of this night came about, it was something that I wanted to be a part of maybe just once in my life. And to see the brother-in-law go around, I was like, man, I got to get into that. So, like I said, very thankful for the opportunity I've been given, and we're really going to enjoy the weekend. And yeah, I've seen what it's all about and how much fun it is, and the group of people you get to meet, and yeah, just the whole experience is one I'm sure I won't forget.
Zachary, you're a man who loves the big occasion, and they certainly make it an occasion, the Ultimate Drivers' Championship, based off what they did last year. A couple of people pretty close to you that you're able to get a little bit of maybe advice off and garner a bit of experience in what they gained from both Dexter and Carter. Are they people that you'll have on your phone list in the next couple of weeks as you prepare?
I'm going to talk to everyone. There's not one person you can't learn off. I'll be talking to everyone around Brisbane, Australia. It's something I've been lucky enough to drive in Australia, but Brisbane hasn't been one of those places. Albion Park hasn't been. So it's going to be a whole new experience. I think you take it for what it is. You obviously need the horse quality below you, but you go out there and give your horse your best opportunity. I actually just went for a 6K run. A little bit hot and sweaty, but I'm committed to the cause and get the belly weight down, the Christmas belly weight, and try to do the best for everyone involved.
You're, of course, representing the Tumby Park slot, which Björn Goop represented last year, and he's come out at the last minute, so to speak, and you've managed to get the call up. It must be, you know, sort of humbling to when there's every driver in the world available and on offer, you were the man who they've gone to.
Very big boots to fill and Bjorn. I was lucky enough to meet him last year, and he was a real true champion bloke. He had a lot of time for me. I remember having a wee fan selfie with him, one that I've still got on my phone, and I definitely cherish. So to be able to take his spot, and like you say, Britt, people all over the world that do every bit better job than me, and somehow I've been lucky enough to land the role. I'll definitely enjoy the moment, and just hopefully for the team we can get a few winners, sail past the line in first place a few times, and maybe take home the big prize.
New career first coming up for you next month, which is really exciting, Zachary, but you got to tick another one off yesterday when you stepped out at Taupō on the grass there for the first meeting you held there. Talk us through the experience, how you found the track and how you found the racing patterns there, because it looked like they took the drivers a couple of races before they really figured out the best way to attack the races.
Full credit to the track staff down there. It was phenomenal. I thought they had it in peak condition. It was an enjoyable day. A little bit of rain was a bit of a spoiler a couple of times there, but I actually quite enjoyed the no passing lane. You know, you had to adapt to a different driving style and figure out a better way to drive a horse that may be suited to a wee passing lane sprint. So little things like that. It was good. I've come to a conclusion that I don't have any luck when I grow a mow. So just before coming on with you guys, I shaved that bad boy off straight away, and hopefully more luck comes my way in the future race meetings.
Just quickly before we let you go, Zachary, Princess Gracie, are you bringing her to Christchurch at all?
Look, no, we're going to miss Christchurch. We sort of had a wee plan. There's a lot of good mares races for her in the north, March, April and May, so we'll attack them. She'll line up in a wee Metro series during February, which should sort of nail her down a wee bit, and our plan is to obviously attack Christchurch at the end of the year around Cup time, the same sort of preparations we had for Mantra Blue in previous years, and she'll have a good shot at it this year. I think she's in the right frame of mind to have a successful one.
I don't reckon you'd like it as much if there was no passing lane at Alex Park either.
You know what, that's probably a fair call. That's not my favourite place to go at Alex Park. So lucky Alex Park haven't taken Taupo's direction and cut the passing lane away from me.
Be careful what you wish for, Zachary. Thanks for joining us as always.
Appreciate it, team. Good always to see you.
Oh, that's brilliant. We've got another Kiwi heading abroad to represent us and obviously the Tumby team at Brisbane. What an experience it'll be for him.
I'm sure it will be, and great to have New Zealand representation again this year. It's certainly very Australian driver heavy, as we've just seen from the market, but James McDonald will be coming down from Canada and Zachary will be representing New Zealand, so it will be wonderful. And I think Albion Park will really suit his driving style. An aggressive driver who can get a horse into a forward position, that will be key. He'll be relying heavily, I'm sure, on Scott Whitten, who holds the slot. Scott has a lot of horses based in Brisbane and up and down the eastern seaboard, and of course they have their driver draft where they go and pick their own horses, so that's going to be another experience. So 20 races across Friday and Saturday night, the 20th and 21st of February, and I'm sure Zachary is going to give it a real shake.
6K, you reckon he did it, or is he pulling our leg?
4.5 probably. I've seen a lot of social media and the dog that him and Laura joined together. It gets about a K down the road and it starts to turn around and want to go home. So there's big questions around that. But how good from a New Zealand perspective to have Zachary going over there. He's a big moment driver. He loves the big stage, I guess you could say. We could almost re-nickname him the Big Show, the way that he does behave sometimes on those big race days. And I think from a New Zealand perspective, it's really important that we do have a New Zealand driver, because it is just going to grab that interest that may not have been there compared to last year when we had both Tex and Carter there to cheer on among everyone else.
Yeah, great stuff. Those markets, tab.co.nz. To a break here on The Box Seat, brought to you by Brecon Farms. In the last couple of weeks, we farewelled one of our greats, John Langdon, has passed away.
They get to the 175 metre marker, speedy gas, and young Quinn, he's putting in mighty strides down the outside. Irish Kiwi on the inside, in between them high foil. The champion young Quinn went to the lead with 100 to go. From on the outside, speedy gas on the inside to high foil, and young Quinn carries the day.
This week's pacing performance of the week. This was a confident return to form from Beside Me. Driven with real authority by Carter Del Getty, she rolled across early, took control and never looked in danger. From the front, she just cruised. Strong, relaxed and powerful to the line. A 56-second last 800 showing she's sharpening up at the right time and looking more and more like the filly we saw lighting up the track as a 3-year-old. This was classy, controlled and a serious statement return. Beside Me, back in business.
She's a brute, and she's the favourite for the Garrard's Premier Mares Championship, which we will talk about very shortly. First things first, though, we're going to get to Michael Guerin. Michael, I know it's been a massive few days for you. Can you just give us a quick recap on the last couple of days, and then fire us your standout?
Well, the sales were great, as they will be for the harness racing sales coming up at Karaka on February the 16th, because it's a very magical place. But yeah, really good fun to be part of following a horse through and letting people who watch trackside via the Guerin report to see a horse grow and get educated. Then the chances are about 1,000 to 1 it could possibly be the sales topper. So that all happened yesterday. So even though we didn't have a financial interest in the horse, really good fun. And I think lots of fun for people who are watching the horse go through. Now we have a financial interest in it because we couldn't help ourselves. I'm a bit like Brittany. When I get near a horse in a sale, I can't help myself. But I'm pretty excited to be part of that, and the family are too. On to my highlight of the week. Ironically, talking about going across codes, Bruce Sherwin, our commentator, standing commentator, and a very good one at that, last week at Alexandra Park got to call his own horse home, Coal Fire. He has a share in what I think is a pretty darn good horse. Probably the thing that stunned me the most is that he still stayed around $2. I thought he might be shorter because he was just too big, too strong and too athletic, admittedly, for a group of horses who will get better with a bit more time. But lots to like about Coal Fire, and unless there's a really good 2-year-old coming up from the South Island, he would be the dominant favourite, of course, for the Young Guns final coming up in March. Over the last couple of weeks, my talking point for the week has been one which it doesn't bother me because it's the wrong word, I don't want to oversell it, but it confuses me quite a bit. And I've seen it over the last couple of weeks because we've had some stunning racing out of Victoria. First of all, Kingman beating Leap to Fame. Awesome. And we saw them first and second in the New Zealand Cup, and we celebrated it so big. And then last week, Leap to Fame, dynamic again, Kingman, only 4th this time. And yet what I'm finding is I wake up on Sunday morning and I say to people at the sales or just people I know in general, what did you make of this yesterday at Ellerslie? What did you make of Leap to Fame last night? So I didn't watch it. And it's not because they don't love Leap to Fame, and it's not because it's an inferior product, because I think the Australian racing at the moment is an outstanding product and as good a product as I've seen out of Australia since probably around 2000, when they had that shaker maker era, maybe 2011, 2012, when they had the Blacks Are Fake era, but before that, into On the Mighty Quinn. It's so good, but it's so late at night. And I find even with shows like our show, this show here, or the Guerin Report, a lot of people watch it the next morning if they're involved in racing. I often talk to harness racing people on Sunday morning and say, what did you make of Kiang Zahara last night? I said, I'm going to watch it later, or I'll watch it online. And I'm finding of all the things we do in harness racing, for how much time we spend on this show and how much the people who watch the show love it, I'm finding it's almost like a dark hole where once we get past 8 o'clock on Saturday night, I'm not sure how many people are watching, so I rang the TAB and rang some of my confidants here today and said, how many people bet on this stuff? And they said, well, a lot less than you would think for the name. So I'm wondering out loud, and I like to think I have ideas for things and answers, but I don't. I don't have any answers or any ideas about how we can maintain the engagement we have on really strong Saturday afternoons into early evenings at Randwick and Flemington, Matt. I don't know what we can do to try and make people watch this wonderful racing that's going on. And I suppose it raises the question, is 11 o'clock at night too late to expect people to be watching racing on Saturday nights? If they're starting at 10:30 in the morning, or even they might be starting at 9:30 in the morning if they're watching the preview show. So it's a really interesting one, guys. I don't have any answers. It'd be easy to say go back to Friday night, but of course, in Friday night, the Gallops are coming on board with Canterbury and the Valley and stuff. And I don't know how we're going to keep people involved in this stuff, because there's some great racing coming up there. Brittany and I going across to be part of the coverage for Hunter Cup, not on February the 14th. But as much as it means a lot to us, I still think it's an untapped resource, and I don't know how we get people to tap into it.
Food for thought, Michael. And we always enjoy your segment on the record. Michael will be back in 7 days with some more. It's time for Quick Hitch. You know the rules. You have 20 seconds each. If you talk over, you will be cut off. First things first, Britt. Taupo. What do we think of the no passing lane?
Well, I've always thought passing lanes either need to be everywhere or need to be nowhere. I don't love the confusion of them being at some tracks and not at others. And I guess here in New Zealand, what was Taupo the only track currently racing that doesn't have a passing lane, and therefore it creates confusion. We want the casual punter to be confident, and that makes life a little difficult.
I backed a couple of horses yesterday that were disadvantaged by the fact there was no passing lane. I backed a couple of horses that were advantaged by the fact there was no passing lane. So, look, I think it's a one-day-a-year meeting on a track that we only race at once. I don't have any problem with there being no passing lane. It just adds a little bit of intrigue to the day.
I don't think it's very hard to add one. Just put the markers a little bit further out and let there be one. But I think it's the job of the trackside presenters to say, by the way, remind people for the first couple of races, much like the track conditions at the Gallops, this is what's happening here today. So it's our job to remind them, but ideally, if you're using pylons, just make a passing lane.
We're going to come straight back to you, Michael, and we're going to stick with our grass track theme. Are the crossings at the moment safe for grass track racing?
I think they're pretty safe. We don't see a lot of harness horses fall on them. I think they're not great for galloping, because you do see horses get across them and gallop sometimes. So I don't particularly like having a bet on a horse who gets to a crossing and I'm a bit nervy about it. I think they're safe enough. Horses do a lot stranger stuff in their lives than race over crossings.
I guess it's a real challenge, and it suits some horses and maybe doesn't suit others. It's a necessary evil if we're going to race on grass tracks, that we're going to have to negotiate crossings. I'm not an expert in the field, but I wonder if there's some assistance we can give to these crossings to make them a fraction better to get over for the wheels of the sulky.
We could certainly improve some up and down the country, but the big question is, what's the alternative? There's only two tracks in New Zealand that I can think of that don't have crossings, Methven and Cromwell. Are they going to be the only two grass track races, tracks that we race on going forward? I would suggest that's not going to happen. So I think we can improve them a little bit for sure.
Matt, we'll come straight back to you to start us away with this one. Harness Racing New Zealand Awards coming up. Should they be island-based?
Look, I'm a little 50-50 on the way that this works. I think at the moment, the fact that they've been in Christchurch hasn't been the worst situation that we've had. We get good numbers along. There was a few years ago that we did try up in the North Island. I think there's a really good group of people in the North Island that put on a really good North Island Harness Racing Awards, and that seems to work really well.
I think they should be in Christchurch. I think Christchurch is the home of harness racing, even more so now than it has been in any time in the last 50 years. I think North Island Harness Racing has some really big challenges. They need to get off their arse, sort some stuff out, get some people to go to Alexandra Park for a start, sort out what's going on at Franklin Park before we worry about having the honour of holding anything.
I thought it was interesting that it was only ever based here in the South Island, and I thought in the interest of fairness it should be shared. 1 year up there, 1 year down here. It's about celebrating the achievements of our industry as a whole, and we want the North Island participants who do great things to be celebrated as well.
That was good. You guys are flying. As I reckon in the 18 months I've been doing this show, well, we've only been doing the Quick Hitch for about 6 or 8 months. About as good as the first three. We've got one more to go. Let's see if we can continue with this wonderful timing. Brett, obviously with the Thoroughbred Code, when the nominations come out, the programs come out, the jockeys' names, their phone numbers, they're on there. The trainers know who are going to be there. Could we do something similar?
I don't think it would hurt. It would certainly add to the professionalism and planning of our industry, particularly for those drivers who travel either north or south or just away from their home base to drive freelance. It would give a real opportunity for them to be known as heading in one direction or another, or the alternative, not going to be at a meeting, and save that admin.
Yeah, I don't think it matters too much. I mean, she absolutely doesn't hurt. Do it if you want to do it. But I think the jungle telephone's pretty good in harness racing. Most people know a few weeks in advance whether A or B's coming to A or B. So I don't think it's a big issue as maybe 100 other things we could talk about.
Inadvertently, I think it happens already through our racing club managers and the bureaus, and we're only talking on a frequent occasion the best maybe 6 drivers that might head down, say, to use an example, from Canterbury to Southland each and every week. I think it falls into place pretty naturally the way that it works. Do we need to do it? Potentially not, but could it be helpful in the future? Well, maybe there is a bit of scope there for it.
Oh, it's just perfect. That's something to behold. I'm really pleased with the whole lot of you, actually. If you know how to use an email, you can email us by emailing theboxseat@entangroup.co.nz. Now, don't hold back. If you've got any ideas for Quick Hitch, fire them through. There are no wrong answers. We essentially are your voice. So if you have an idea, send it through. Our producer, Jason, who does a remarkable job, will put it onto the show, and we will try and talk about it and try and get your point across within reason. And if you don't like me, you can say that in an email as well. Anyway, things we do like are performances of the week. Here's your trotting performance of the week.
This week's Trotters performance of the week. This was a powerful, old-school trotting performance from Royden Muscle. Driven with patience by Bob Butt, he controlled the race from the front and just kept turning the screw. Strong, balanced and totally in control, he stretched the field out and left them chasing. A 10-length win that said it all. Authority, class and confidence. This was a statement performance from a trotting professional who loves getting the job done. Royden Muscle, pure power.
When you pray on answer, you walk through life just like a dancer and fight. Have my way every day would be your parade. Ooh, I adore you.
Here's what's coming up on the harness racing calendar this week. On Thursday, we head south to Invercargill. The Invercargill Harness Racing Club January meeting lights it up. Then it's Friday Night Lights, and it's a big one. From Addington, the New Zealand Metropolitan Trotting Club hosts the Group 2 Garrard's Premier Mares Championship, while up north, the Auckland Trotting Club delivers Metro Finals night. And on Sunday, it's Sunday Sesh on the grass. We head to Oamaru for the Waikawaiti Cup Day, with the Waikawaiti Trotting Club on show. A full week of harness racing, all live, all covered, right here on Trackside 1 and trackside.co.nz. More grass track racing at Oamaru as the Country Championship starts to kind of paint a bit of a picture. hrnz.co.nz, you can check out that leaderboard. OK, we're going to get through some races from Addington. Unfortunately, we had a delay in the fields from Alexandra Park. They only came out a short time ago, so we have no markets for you. Those will be out on tab.co.nz later on in the week. So our focus is going to be on Addington, where we have the Garrard's Premier Mares Championship, Group 2, to lead into the Group 1 Breeders' Stakes. And to be fair, Britt, the numbers are holding up pretty good around the mares, and there's a fair bit of depth in there. This has got a lot of intrigue about it.
It sure does. This wave of the 4-year-olds taking on maybe these more established mares, and we were always hopeful that last year's 3-year-old fillies crop would translate because it was very even. Good to see some good early market support in this race. Winelight, Debbie Lincoln beside me, they've all been quite popular. Of course, we go over the short course this week before we stretch out in distance. So do those speedy mares, the likes of General Jen, take their opportunity this week with front row draws and preferential barrier draws? I don't know how this, Matt, will play out. I think it's going to be a really strongly run race, Matt, and I would assume each horse is going to get their opportunity.
we're getting it right. And when I say we, I mean HRNZ now programming with these mares races, and we're going to reap the benefits of what they've done in the last 12 months with that Summer Spring Mares series. And it's created depth, and what it's also created is an opportunity for these mares to have pathways to continue racing here in New Zealand. And that's probably the best field I've seen for this race in terms of depth for a number of years. Really interesting race too. Nothing But You with gate speed beside me. Then you've got Debbie Lincoln. Wouldn't be surprised to see Francent light up from the outside of the front line. Her trial at Ashburton last week was very, very good, as was Esmeralda's too. So looking forward to seeing them go around. I think it's going to be a very intriguing race, but I think beside me off that one last week, she holds all the cards.
Michael, you've seen a few editions of this. You've seen this race obviously lead into the Group 1. There'll be horses who are looking for a decent round. There'll be looking for horses who are maybe looking to peak at the Group 1. How do we play it?
I think it's an interesting marker for the rest of the season, because there's a suspicion that while Francent and Esmeralda are really good horses and potentially open class horses, that the mares ranks didn't have a great mare. They didn't have an Adore Me or those type of horses. And if we go back a month to Auckland, Captain's Mistress was going to beat them, so the 3-year-old filly was going to beat the older mares until the very unfortunate incident with Nathan Williamson. So you say to yourself, okay, where does it leave the Wine Lights and you know, beside me? Are these horses just good enough to beat those older mares? I'm not sure about beside me. I wasn't sure she could do what she did last week. I've never had any doubts about her ability, Matt, but I'm not sure whether she's still fully there yet. If she shows it this week, great. I'll be happy she's back. And $2.80 is good enough for you to find out. But I think this is a group of horses where one of them has the ability to say, no, I'm in charge, get out of the way, I'm in charge. And that horse is probably Francent, but I'm just not sure whether she's good enough to do that, and that may depend on what Beside Me does inside her. Really intriguing race, and it could set the markers for not only what heads the week after or 2 weeks after, but of course whether some of these horses are worth taking to Australia and getting those 150 miles and all those sorts of things. It's a really crossroads time for this bunch of horses.
Britt, there's a few more days and water to go under the bridge. What are you feeling? What's your gut feeling about what's going to happen at the start? Who goes forward, who hands, who doesn't?
I was probably a little surprised by the opening price of Wine Light. I always thought there wasn't a whole lot between her and Arafura, and she just was plagued by terrible barrier draws throughout a lot of the fillies races. So she finally gets a positive barrier draw, and she's got enough gate speed to take advantage of it. But we also know Nothing But You will be wanting to hold her position, and she has probably fitness advantage after going through that Tasman Empress series. I just think there's a lot happening early. Maybe with Debbie Lincoln in the form that she's in, Matt, we see her driven similarly to last week. And then does that mean that a few of those drawn in the middle are just happy to come across and wait for cover on a horse like Francent? But as you mentioned, she's got a lot of early toe and she's just getting better all the time.
I did have a chat to Carter Dalgetty earlier on today about potentially what he might look to do with Beside Me, and he said, well, there's only really one option, and that is to roll forward and trying to get onto the top end. He said, I go back and look to work into it during the middle stages. I'm back with the likes of Esmeralda, potentially Francent and everything else. So I would expect Carter will be looking to find the front, and if history says anything over the last 12 months, when Carter goes looking here at Addington, he generally finds the top.
All right, that's the Group 2 Garrard's Premier Mares Championship. More coverage on that on Friday Night Lights. With Brecon Farms, we continue our box seat preview of the races on Friday from Addington. The Group 3 Continental Summer Trotting Free for All and Muscle Mountain 185. The favourite, Father Time, who just went from strength to strength. Britt, last preparation warrants the 650 in Euro style. We know that if she brings her absolute best, then she's a weapon as well.
Well, Muscle Mountain is the tried and true at the top level, so I just thought he looked beautifully placed in this race. We know he loves the shorter distances. We know that he loves to race fresh as well. He's got a great fresh record here at Addington, and I thought that there was a high likelihood that he would be first to the fence as well. Euro style probably lacks a little bit of early pace. A few others probably not quite proven at that top level, Matt. So he looks really well into this contest for mine.
Oh, he certainly does, and with a career record like his, it's pretty hard to go past him, isn't it? I don't know if he just blasts across to the top here. What we've sort of seen in the last 12 months from Ben and the way that he's approached driving him is that early on in a campaign, he's better off going back and looking to be used for his speed. do remember that it wasn't that long ago that Eurostyle actually beat Muscle Mountain, and Muscle Mountain came from behind him, her on that occasion. While that trial last week at Ashburton was very, very slow, her sectionals were amazing, I thought, and what really impressed me was the way she covered the ground. She's 5 from 7 behind the mobile. Don't think that it matters that she's got probably a little bit less gate speed than some others. If she can loop into it at the right time and be trucking when they get to that quarter peg and Muscle Mountain's behind her, it's going to take a good performance to run her down.
I think it's one of those races where you either want to back Muscle Mountain or you almost don't want to have a bet, because it's really hard to make a case to back something else. He's such a proven Group 1 horse, and none of these are proven Group 1 horses apart from Midnight Dash is proven to race in them but not win them very often. You say to yourself, do I really want to back something else? And then Muscle Mountain jogs across at the start because he's so much faster than them. Leads, there's no real pressure until Eurostyle potentially gets there, as Matt mentions, and then he's still probably too good. So it's one of those things. I think you make the choice between whether $1.85 is good enough for you and you're willing to cop that, or you wait to the end of the show and see if we can do better.
Yes, we have made our choice, Michael, to answer your question, and more to come on that. We'll just save that for a wee bit later on. Speaking of intrigue, we spoke about the intrigue around the big mares race. Britt, this being a small field, they probably have that little bit more intrigue and they go one way or the other. They're either the best races of the night or they're a complete farce, I guess you could say.
It could be a real tactical affair, couldn't it? Who's Delight, of course, coming up with a good draw. He can be positively driven when he gets a good draw under mobile conditions. Hadron Collider, I think, is flying at the moment. Like, he's bursting to win a race. Franco Sinatra loves it here at Addington. He'll appreciate getting back here. And then what do you think happens with Pinseeker, Matt? Because we know that he can be driven in a few different ways, and we know his path is heading towards Sydney, where showing his gate speed would be a huge asset. Do we see a glimpse of it on Friday night?
It'll be interesting. Knowing Johnny, he'll be hesitant to want to really, really charge the gate with him, I think. The way he approached Omacare, I think, is the way that he's got to drive Pinseeker at the moment. Get him nice and relaxed and then put him into the race. This race was obviously a late addition to the program too. Well done to HRNZ. We need more of these open class free-for-alls for these horses going forward. Hadron Collider holds all the cards for me from the good draw. Thought he's been really good over the course of the last month. There's the enigma of the race in Chase a Dream there, drawn on the outside of the front line. It'll be interesting to see what he steps out like. Michael, small field, but you could almost make a case for each and every one.
You can, and depends if they end up in single file and stay there, or whether a horse like Pinseeker blasts off the gate and tries to put himself involved early, although I do think he's better driven with a sit. I'll tell you what I honestly do for a race like this. Chase the Dream's the best horse in the race. I think we all know that on established form. He did run second in the race last year. For what I would do is I'll back a horse like him if I think he's overs. I don't think he's going to be overs because I think he'll probably drift out. But often I'll back a horse like him, then I watch them warm up. More and more, the more time I spend around yearlings and the more time I'm spending around horses, the more time I'm watching horses warm up for races. And if I don't like it, I cash out. I know that a lot of people probably think that's a really radical way to bet, but it has become, with the cash out facility the TAB are now giving you, you have the option on a wet track or something changes. There's not going to be any scratchings here because there's 6 horses in the race. To say, if I don't like something I see in a race. A couple of years ago, I had a really big bet, 4-figure bet on Muscle Mountain. And he was playing up at the start and jumping up and down. I was cashed out. And I think Chase a Dream's a prime example of that this week, Matt. What I would do if I was going to back him, because I know he's the best horse in the race, is I would back him, and if I don't like what I see in his vascularity and his skin and all those type of things and his attitude when he warms up, then I'll get out of the bet.
Easy. You make it sound very simple, Michael. You always do. Just before we get to our best bets, bet on an Aussie this weekend.
Yeah, Cranbourne Cup night on Saturday night, and another leg of this $1 million carnival bonus. So the horses in play are Bulletproof Boy, Kingman and Leap to Fame. They all head to Cranbourne, as does Swayze. So small field but really interesting race. So whoever wins out of that trio is still alive, and the others, well, they're going to have to put that to the side. Then it's Kilmore next week, where we're expecting to see Republican Party, and the Hunter Cup's only a couple of weeks away, so really exciting. And we spoke about the mares here. Well, Captain's Mistress, she takes a good step up on Saturday night as well in a small field against Steno and I Keep Smiling. So, as Michael mentioned, it's a little later on Saturday night, but I think it will be worthwhile staying up for.
Good news. Now, I've got even more good news for you. You're on the boost this week. We're going week about. I'm 1 for 1 for the year, just so you know. No pressure. What do you got for us?
Well, let's try and make it 2 from 2 with Muscle Mountain. We've spoken about him already tonight, and he does look the class factor despite the wide draw. I'm making him my best bet. I think you're making him your
100%.
best bet as well.
Yeah.
So he's hoping he can add another win to what's
If
been...
he loses, though, the boost's on you.
I
What's
don't
your
like
idea?
this sort of pressure in my life, but okay. I think I was going okay last year, just quietly, or is that just in the background now?
No, we
It's
turned the
fresh
page.
stuff.
We're in a new year.
220.
Oh, get amongst it. Michael, does 220 enough to entice you? You said you're either backing him or you're not having a bet. Are you backing him now?
100%. I mean, if they run this race 100 times, and I presume he's still got legs and a head, I presume his body's still functioning, otherwise he wouldn't be there. If they run this race 100 times, he wins it more than probably 60, maybe even 70. And 220 says he wins it 45 times out of 100. Well, it's clearly a lot more than that. So, yep, I'm absolutely happy to be on with that. And then what you can do is you can cover on other horses. I think Matt and I have ended up on the same horse here. Matthew, I'll let you take this up. But I thought Bazooka, after the plunge on it last week, being $5 in what kind of looks a 2-horse race, was extremely generous.
Oh, I agree with you, Michael. And I thought the fact that he draws inside Double Jeopardy was a huge boost to his chances. Look, I know it's been well publicised in the last couple of months that they like to try and drive Bazooka with a sit, get him back. I think it's time that we scrap that with him this week. I think we expect to see Sam Otley roll forward with him, find the front, and he seems to be a pretty happy horse when he's in front, man. I thought that $5 against the $1.95 against Double Jeopardy. You've also got Moonlight Blood there on the second line, who was excellent last week, but really happy to play around that $5 of Bazooka.
I like it. Mickey G, thanks, mate.
Matt, I asked everybody on the panel a question last week. I'm going to ask them the same question. See if things have changed in a week. Who's the best horse, best pacer in Australasia? You go first, Matt.
Oh, I actually had a thought to myself when I watched that race, and it's hard to go past Leap to Fame after what he did.
Well, is it Leap to Fame for you?
Yep.
Brittany, over there.
Yes. We're back.
Leap to Fame?
Leap to Fame for me.
Okay, Matt?
I didn't get to play the game last week, but I probably still would have said Leap to Fame because I think Kingman's the horse that's got to chase him down.
Ooh. Wow, how things have changed in a week, eh? Aren't we fair weather friends?
Funny, isn't it?
I'll go King.
Right,
I'll go
say
Kingman.
goodbye
I'll go
from
Kingman.
Brecon Farms. That's been the box seat for another week. Be sure to check out the Brecon Farms draft nzb.co.nz for the standard bred division. They've got some lovely colts and some lovely fillies, and they'll kick off as lot number 2 on sale day. Until next week, that's been the box seat.